When I got my Appaloosa horse, Henry, 6 years ago, his communication was characterized by intensity and frustration. He was a forceful character, sometimes explosive. Many people thought that he was difficult because he had a mind of his own. Some even found him scary. The thing is, though, he wasn't actually being difficult. He had merely learned from an early age that people didn't listen or understand. And when you aren't heard, you raise your voice, you push harder, you insist. Henry had simply learned to make his messages strong, and because he still wasn't heard, he didn't really have a high opinion of humans. From the very beginning, I wanted to listen to him. I wanted to understand him. Over time, I learned to stay stiller when he became intense. I learned to be more attuned to what was going on underneath his behavior. I began to ask myself, what is he really trying to tell me? What does he need in this moment? And as we got to know each other more, things started to shift. I then realized that it wasn't enough just to draw my own conclusions about his communication. I actually needed to pause and slow down and let him sense that I was listening. This made a huge difference. Now his communication is more subtle. He gives me meaningful looks, points his nose to where he wants me to scratch him, and asks for more hay by gently nuzzling my right hand with his lips. Although I can often guess what he's saying before he even communicates, it's important that I pause and let him tell me what he wants to tell, and to show him that I'm genuinely listening before I respond. It's been interesting that his attitude has changed in how he responds to my answers. Previously, he would have got frustrated. But these days, whenever I have to say no to him, like when he needs to wait or stay still or take a different path, it's different. He listens back and he generally accepts that I have my reasons to not do as he asks. Of course, it's not perfect, but we're figuring it out together. There's something powerful in this dance between us. This relationship is not built on dominance or on ignoring the early signs, but it's about attunement. It's about listening to subtle cues and responding to the smallest messages before they need to become loud. And this makes me wonder, how often do we listen to ourselves like this? How often do we let our inner being shout because we didn't hear the quiet signals first? Like Henry, our deepest selves are always communicating, often with the quietest whispers, maybe a slight tightening in the chest or a flicker of some emotion or a subtle sense of not quite right, or perhaps a tiny impulse to rest, step away, or soften. When we ignore these, our inner world learns that it has to speak louder. But when we listen, really listen, something remarkable may start to happen. The intensity doesn't have to rise. The system doesn't need to raise its voice. The body doesn't need to shout to be heard. Listening can bring calm. It can allow ease to emerge, and it can build trust. My journey with Henry has taught me that the more I respond to the subtleties, the fewer storms there are. The more I listen early, the less intensity needs to build. And I believe that the same is true within us. So this is an invitation, a gentle one. What if we noticed the small signals within ourselves? What if we responded with the same patience, curiosity, and respect we might offer a beloved animal learning to trust again? And when we listen to ourselves in this way and do that consistently, kindly, without waiting for the loud signal, something might soften inside. And maybe we'll learn to trust that we don't have to shout to be heard.